Hello, everyone. It's Reverend Dr. Tracy Cox, and I'm here today with my co host and guest, Tracy Searight from Ready Set Reiki. And today we're going to work on doing a global healing Reiki share. I've already got comments coming in here, and this is my first live stream ever. So I'm going to be learning on the fly, as they say. So please bear with me. So this is my good friend and my colleague, Tracy Searight. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Tracy, and let the people know what you do.
Thank you, Tracy. Us Tracys need to stay together, right?
That's right. Spelled the correct way, too.
Well, remember you said the intelligent way.
That's right.
So, hello, everyone. My name is Tracy Searight. I am a educator, a yoga teacher, Reiki master teacher, author, and creative energy behind the podcast Ready Set Reiki. I have been fortunate enough to be able to do Reiki and yoga full time for the last 4 years and just been having a lot of fun on the journey, meeting and expanding my territory and connecting with wonderful people such as Tracy. So
That's
thank you
right.
so much.
Yeah, we met. I was a guest on your show, and that was actually a really great show. And we talked about how we should do kind of a Reiki share, but for all of humanity, everyone on Earth, because right now, and I mean, people know what I'm talking about. The amount of division in this world right now is just off the chain. It's too much. And as we, people that are light workers, healers, Reiki practitioners, I mean, I'm clergy, so I teach practical prayer as well. All these tools that we have at our fingertips are so miraculous and amazing when we start to use them in day-to-day situations, like what the world is going through right now. And a great example is the fact that this last hurricane that went in off the coast of Florida, they were predicting that it was just going to be insane, like bigger than the one before, crazy, doom and gloom, horrible, horrible predictions. And then everybody that all the prayer warriors, practical prayer people, Reiki therapists, everybody started praying. And for some reason, that hurricane slowed down as soon as it hit land. And I mean, of course, there was a few areas that got hit really hard, but it was nothing that they were predicting. And so for me, I take that as a win, right? Because we were all involved in that. And you can scroll back on any of our social media and see that we were encouraging people for days to start
Absolutely.
sending that Reiki energy to slow that down. And, when I got my Doctor of Divinity degree, a lot of the research that I went over is available in a book called Why Woo Woo Works. Yeah, you've read that one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, by Dr. David Hamilton. And he was a scientist that left the scientific community and started studying all the different spiritual modalities and healing techniques that we use. Practical prayer, Reiki, some people just call it energy work. There's a million different names for it, but it's all that universal life force that gives us the spark of life. And I like to explain to everybody that we're really a ghost in here driving around, basically a car. Our bodies are the car and our spirits the driver. So we always have to remember that universal life force is what drives that car around. And that energy can project out, it can project healing. With near death experiences, people will realize that, yes, they aren't the car, they are the driver. So what we do as someone that teaches Reiki and practical prayer is we help people learn how to use these techniques in a practical way.
Right.
And so that's what I'm so passionate about, and I know you are too. And every day we spend all day doing this stuff, right? So what
It's
do
the
you
new
think?
style.
Yeah. So what do you think about global healing? What do you think is a real easy way when you're talking to people that are just learning spiritual techniques?
Sure. I
What do
mean, I
you
always say that, that our thoughts are, electric, and our feelings are magnetic. So that intention that you put out there, right, that thought can make such a difference. And us as a collective, how powerful can we be? Whether you pray, whether you do Reiki, whatever modality you're choosing to do, if your intention is for the highest good of all, how can you go wrong?
That's
So
right.
use whatever you have in your spiritual toolbox, whatever your belief is, as long as it's through the lens of someone's highest good.
That's
Yeah.
right. Absolutely. So the biggest thing to remember is that we're not the healer. The healer is
Correct.
the universal life force, is the Holy Spirit, is God. We are
Yes.
just directing it and asking for help, asking for
Yeah.
attention,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And a lot of the time when we teach Reiki, we teach that essentially when we give people the attunements, what we're doing is we're getting them set up with a radio station that
Hmm.
can pick up those frequencies, right?
Yes. Hmm.
Because if you don't have a radio, all the songs that are on the radio are around us all the time. You just have to have the tuner to tune it in. So
Sure.
that's what we're doing with people is we're helping them tune in.
Absolutely. And, do we have this in us? Yes, we do. But when you get that place for an attunement, you are like connecting into that divine source where you have this endless energy coming towards you.
That's right.
Whether you use your own, that wears out over time. So I often tell people it's like my laptop. It can run for some time on a battery, but it's eventually going to run out. And I need to plug it into that, endless source of energy, as long as I pay my electric bill.
Exactly. Yeah, we do have to replenish it, and that's why we teach so much in Reiki that the first level, Reiki 1, is really all about doing your self-healing. So
Hmm.
all day, all day, every day, when you can, I like to teach my students to do their Reiki before they even get out of bed.
Yes.
So when they're laying there, they're going to do their hand movements and do their self Reiki. And then as soon as their foot hits the floor, they're going to have that spiritual armor on. And it's going to
Right.
help so much, right? It's
Yeah.
just going to change that day. It's going to elevate the energy around you, and you're just going to find things are completely different.
Right. And even adding the Reiki principles in right before you get out of bed and as you go through your day. And then as you end your day, you're laying in bed, you can review. And if you didn't, meet that goal of just for today, oh no, I worried. How can you be 1% more better tomorrow? Give yourself that grace.
That's right, exactly,
Yeah.
because we're all imperfect human beings, and just because we say, "Oh, we're light workers and we don't
Mhm.
like to get involved in, let's say, politics,"
Yeah.
and that's the biggest thing for me as a member of the clergy. I don't take sides with politics because I'm pulling for all of humanity. I'm
Sure.
pulling for everyone, and as soon as you get into that political arena, you're much too down into the material world. So to do the kind of work that we do and help people, I just don't find that the two mix. That doesn't mean we don't go vote. It just means that
Mhm.
everything that we think about politics is private
Right.
and divinely guided too, because we're always going to be tuning into that universal life source or talking to God about what we need to do. But that's not anything that we need to project into the outside world. And I mean, my father owned a General Motors dealership, and he was always like, Tracy, never put, a political sign on your front lawn, because no matter what, 50% of the people are going to suddenly hate you.
Mhm.
And he was right, and he was totally right. And so that's the way I've tried to live my life. Just stay out of it. That's for the politicians and people that want to get into that. But in our business, I find that getting into that fray, especially right now when it's so
Oh,
pitched up
yeah.
to 11, I don't want to see that division. I want to just pray for everybody.
Of
I
course.
want us all to win. I want us all to wake up. I mean, when people talk about the age of Aquarius, that's what's happening right now. And if you remember the
Mhm.
song when you're a little kid, a love will steer the stars, that everybody's going to get along. I do believe that we have the ability to do that, but we
Mhm.
need to start seeing each other as brothers and sisters. We need to start seeing each other as wanting to all pull together so that we can raise everybody up with a better life, take care of people in the way they need to be, but also let people live their lives. Let people live their
Yeah.
lives. Stop telling people what to do. It's such a strange world we live in right now. And, I just want everybody to get along. And so that's what this is all about. So, with a global healing, let's just think about what we want to do with this. Now, as a global healing, I do this very often with my clients or students, and that is that you want to think about the world and you want to send either love, light, Reiki, whatever you use, prayer, to
Mhm.
every single person on earth. So if we let's do a little meditation with that right now. So we're going to send Reiki or universal life force, prayers. You can send white light, whatever your healing modality is. Let's just think about the world and think about sending that love and light to every single person on earth. So if you allow your mind to go down that path, think about how beautiful it would be if every single person on earth, that's your little dog,
Mhm.
every single person on earth was channeling that loving energy to everyone that they know, everyone around them, and just let it radiate out. And if you think about that white healing light going to everyone on earth, you can extrapolate to the point that everyone is living the golden rule. And the golden rule means that we are all helping each other, at least not hurting each other, and lifting each other up. So if we think about spreading that energy and sending it to every single person on earth, you can just see how that energy around. And when we say see, when we're sending Reiki, we're talking about in your mind's eye. So in your third eye, really there's almost like a projector on the inside of your forehead that you can see these things. As you get more into Reiki, you'll really develop it. But let's just focus on everyone getting along. It's loving, it's helpful. No more of this division. People are accepting each other's ideas. It's just a beautiful world. So what I do with that quite often with my clients is that I say, now we're going to send forgiveness to everyone on earth. And that means every single person, doesn't matter who they are. And this is where you'll see people's ego get really caught up
Mhm.
because they're like, oh, I can't send it to that horrible, whoever it is, XYZ. And I'm like, well, even your enemies, don't you want to send them divine light, healing light, so that they're divinely guided to all of a sudden choose the right thing? Like, isn't that the whole point, that we all get along? It's almost like people get caught into this material world thinking of that we have to overpower other people with their ideas or with our ideas, right? Make them wrong and us right. And that's what we're trying to get away from. We're trying to just forgive everybody on earth, send that healing energy of Reiki, universal life force, forgiveness to every single person on earth. And then that would cause, or it will cause, if we get everyone doing it, a quantum shift where we're not divided anymore. So that's what I try to do. And anytime people are feeling uh, hopeless about the situation in the world, because if you watch the mainstream media, it seems pretty hopeless. It's
Yeah.
very negative. And I just want to help people focus on the fact that there is an alternative to all this. And that's to thinking the highest and the best for everybody, sending that healing energy. And if we do that, we will see the age of Aquarius come to unfold. And that is that everybody gets along. Imagine that.
Right.
New technique, but I think we can do it. And
Right.
so if anybody that's a practitioner of the healing arts, light worker, anytime you get devastated about the way that things are going in the world now, please just send your healing modality to the entire world. So all of humanity, and please don't think about, oh, but I don't care
Mhm.
if you don't like whatever. We're thinking of all of humanity. So that way you're getting out of your ego.
Yeah.
You're getting it so that you are not getting down into that toxic energy of hatred. And so that's what I think is the real point right now, is trying to lift everybody out of this dark energy. So, are
Sure.
you
And if you
seeing?
get to that point where you are doing this and you find those emotions rising up, "Ooh, I don't like that person," then maybe perhaps pause and give yourself Reiki and ask and pray
Absolutely.
for your ego to be placed aside, any of these personal decisions. So that's a great teacher to show, oh, okay, I still need to do a little bit of work here.
That's right. Then you have some unhealed parts to yourself
Yeah,
where this relationship with this person needs to be healed. And
yeah,
when we say people need to be forgiven and healed, when we're talking about either in the clergy or Reiki,
right.
that does not mean you have to go back and subject yourself to them. You know, there a lot of my clients, a lot of them are healing from narcissistic abuse.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
one of my specialties because it's a very particular kind of an energy. And the biggest thing that just they flip out is if I say you need to send forgiveness to that person. Not that you're ever going to have anything to do with them again. Doesn't mean they were a good
Mhm.
person. Doesn't mean they didn't make you just a horrible life. Doesn't mean that you weren't victimized by them. But it means that you want to cut that energy between them and you. Once you forgive all of humanity, just by default, you're forgiving them too.
Yes.
Right? So this is another easy way of people to forgive people that they really can't, but if you send forgiveness to all of humanity, it's gonna hit that person too.
Right, right.
Right? Because for a lot of people, they just can't.
Yeah.
It's been really difficult in whatever way. So if you teach people how to, send healing and send forgiveness to all of humanity, then that's gonna be a lot, easier for them. So
Right,
that's what
right.
I do, and it still cuts that cord, that energy between the 2 of them.
Yeah, 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 and it's a practice too, and sometimes, those emotions come up, but if you have the tools, you can deal with them as they arise.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, so I'm trying to see. I don't see any comments, but I did get a healing request today from a lady named Connie. And what I'd like to do is everybody that's watching, and we'll send some Reiki to Connie. Connie got a rough diagnosis, and it's going to
Mhm,
involve a lot of procedures, and it's just difficult. So we want to send some healing, some Reiki energy, some prayers to Connie. So if we think about her, if we send that healing energy, and I don't know if there's any practitioners that watch this, sending distant Reiki, I find for myself the easiest way is to send it out from the third eye. Just think about them, send it out, send the symbols, send that white light of healing. Sometimes people are working with the purple light of Saint Germain,
mm,
whatever it is, send that healing light out. So what we're going to do is we're going to think about Connie. And Connie, we're going to send you some healing energy. We're going to send you some Reiki and some prayers, and just that your situation with your health just is divinely guided and just miraculously gets healed. Because, working with the Reiki energy and with practical prayer, we see miracles every day. So we want to send out those miracles, send out that prayer, send out that Reiki energy, and one day you just miraculously wake up and the situation is healed.
mhm.
And that's what we pray for you, Connie. So God bless you, and I hope you feel better. I know it's hard, but it's once again talking about the human condition, being spirits that drive around a car made out of muscles. um, we're going to run into bumps in the roads, but
Yeah,
depending on your attitude, depending on the way that we channel through the healing energy, I mean, I see miracles all the time with my clients, and I don't know about you, Tracy, it's
oh,
the
yeah.
same thing.
Yeah, right. And I think like the same kind of underlining connection between all of those that I have met and interviewed is the attitude, the positive attitude. Whether it is I was interviewing someone last week and she had spoke about how the nurse told her what she was going to experience during her cancer journey. And she was like, no, I'm not taking that in. She said everything was
That's right.
negative that the nurse said. And she said she went for a follow up through the hallway, and the nurse saw her and reached said to her, like, what are you doing? Like, you weren't as sick as I thought. And she said, exactly, because I chose
Exactly.
not to listen
That's
to
right.
what you were saying. So the attitude as well. And I've had women on the show that stage 4 and they beat it. And it was
Yes,
that
absolutely.
positive attitude, in
Absolutely.
addition to all the other things, of course, listening to your doctor, right?
Oh, yeah. No, we're not
Yeah.
always go to see an MD if it's a
Yes.
physical problem, go to see a lawyer if it's a legal problem. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like, we're
Yes.
not this is, And that's the thing that people don't understand. It's like
Mhm.
we work with traditional medicine too. Reiki helps with everything. Like
Sure.
it's not anything that is just a standalone. And once again, talking about the fact that people are sovereign. People, you
Mhm.
are born sovereign. You are a child of God, and you have a right to decide how you're treated, or if you decline treatment. It's both. Like we do up in Canada, we have it's called MAID. It's medically assisted in dying, and if somebody chooses that, then that is their business. That's between them and God.
Yeah.
And so you will, as a member of the clergy, sometimes I'm called upon to do last rites or to go see somebody that's going to decide that they just want to decline treatment. And sometimes that's just, they're not going to take any more meds. They're somebody that's 105 and it's just a chore and a torture to get out of bed every day anymore,
Yeah.
because the car, like going back to the driver in the car, there's no car on earth that goes forever, right? So
Right.
eventually there's going to be a point where that car gets put back to the dealer or whatever it is. And people are the same way, right? We go back to God. And it's not ours to judge. It's not ours to judge. As a person that's a member of the clergy and a Reiki healer, we're here to heal everybody and to help
Mhm.
everybody. We're not here to judge anybody. And everybody is a sovereign child of the universe, a sovereign child of God. So we can make our choices ourselves. And sometimes people do decline treatment
Mhm.
and all of a sudden get better. Like you just don't
Yeah.
know. You just don't know what the universal life force or God has in store for you,
Right.
right? So
Mhm.
it's just keeping that positive attitude. I've seen people that have given 6 weeks and they're still around 5 years later. You don't know.
Yeah.
So a
Just look at Jimmy
positive
Carter,
attitude.
right? Jimmy Carter is still hanging on.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. There's an example, right? You just don't know. But I just really hope that people can embrace trying to go spiritually with all the crazy things that are happening in the world right now, because it is very stressful, and I'm
Mhm.
seeing a lot of people starting to the cracks are starting to show, right?
Sure.
I don't know, like a part of what I do as a member of the clergy, as I say, I talk people off the ledge, and I literally talk people off the ledge. And the thing to remember is that there's if you're still alive, there's always a reason that God wants you here. There's a reason, right? Like
Right.
things are hard, but it's so fast to just do something quick. Like what I try to do when people are panicking is a really simple breathing exercise. And people, when they panic, they get into
Mhm.
their reptilian brain, kind of the amygdala. They don't think clearly anymore. So they start to hyperventilate and they think out of the wrong part of the brain that doesn't have any executive function to think about the big picture. And unfortunately, when people get like that, they make really bad decisions, like
Sure.
scary decisions, right? And so what I try to do is get them out of it. And one of the easiest ways to do that is I call it the power of 3 deep breaths. So all you do is you take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And again, in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And last time through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And you will feel different when you're done that. And you will feel calmer because it just automatically does that. And they did a study on caregivers, because people that work with the elderly and people with
Mm.
dementia, it's one of the most stressful jobs in the world. And so what they did was they started doing 3 deep breaths with the caregivers. And they found that these people that are doing these high stress jobs, if they do that 5 times a day at different times when they're getting stressed, that in a month, all their blood pressure was normalized. They were much healthier people
Yeah.
and they could handle it, right? So this is something that we aspire to do, is to remember to just grab ourselves when we're panicking and take 3 deep breaths. And then one of the biggest things that I think helps is to think about I like to say daydream about what you want to happen in this situation as opposed to what you're scared of happening, because
Yeah.
that's what most people do. They start to panic and then they think about, oh God, if this happens, and then they start to get worked up, right? And we need to just smack that in the face and stop thinking about what could go wrong
Yeah.
and focus on what you want. And it's so much more fun, right? Because you can think about, just daydream about, oh, if this went right, this would happen. And so I try to get people thinking that way, because a lot of the time they've never thought that way.
Hmm.
And they've only gone to that place of panic and fear and daydreaming about just horrible scenarios. So we want to flip that around and get them thinking about the good, the positive. And I
Right.
think that that really makes a huge difference if people are very um, dedicated to it. It's hard to do,
Yeah.
and we're, like we said, we're all imperfect human beings. But if we just try a little bit, it just seems to work so well.
Right. And even the neuroscience, you hold on to that thought for 17 seconds and it starts to attract. So if we're able to
Right.
uh, be in traffic and then someone cuts us off and we allow that anger to fill us up so quickly, why can't we flip the switch and fill ourselves up with joy, right? Happiness, peace, enlightenment. So we can choose how to respond to things, and that's wherein lies the power. So having these tools in your energetic toolbox and bringing them out now and then when these crises happen and challenges happen, you can be, oh my goodness, here's the anger coming, what can I do? I
That's
was
right.
teaching a class, and they thought it was kind of funny. There's a Kundalini breath work, fist of anger, and they
Okay.
just thought it was funny. And I was like, let's just do it. And when you have times arise in your life where you're angry, go off to your bedroom or go off somewhere, close the door and do your fist of anger, right? And even if you come
Exactly.
out of it
Yeah.
laughing, you've changed your attitude, right? So when
Exactly. Exactly. And one of the really, now that you mention it, one of the very easy. Where'd we go? We had a little blip there. Can you hear me?
I can,
Okay, good. Um, Sorry, what, I lost my train of thought because my internet
fist of
crapped out.
anger.
Fist of anger. Okay. So humor is an important thing to overcome as things too. Like
Yeah.
if you can make things a joke and laugh, there's nothing wrong with that. And it really does break that negative energy.
Mhm.
So I use humor all the time, and people probably think I'm crazy, but at this point they think I'm crazy anyway, so I don't care. I have a good time. But yeah, humor's an easy way to snap people out of negative energy. And
Mhm.
it's fun too, right?
Yeah, it's fun.
If you're feeling bad, just put on a movie. There's a million comedies. They're great. And throw something on and have a laugh. It does change the energy.
It
Really
does. It does. And
helps.
I find that I teach my students that the universe doesn't know the difference between when you're serious and sarcasm. So even if things are a disaster,
That's right.
how's it going? It's great. It's
Yeah,
great.
exactly. It's great. Yeah. And then if you take it that much further, focus on what you want to happen. So have a
Absolutely.
laugh, flip the script, focus on what you want to happen. And the more you can do that, the more you can manifest that in your life. And it does work.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's so many scientific, just that book, Why Woo Woo Works. It covers it
Mhm.
all. If anybody can read that book and then tell me that none of this works, it doesn't make any sense. It's all there. And people that a lot of the time go, oh, you woo woo hippies, or crunchy granola moms, or whatever they like to call us, right? There's nothing scientific about it, and then you hand them a book by a scientist. There's another one, a Dr. Dawsey. He's written Prayer is Good Medicine, a bunch of it, and he's done scientific studies about how this all works, and it all works. So what I say is let's use it, right? Let's use it.
Right, right. My daughter,
Yeah, yeah.
had something that came up and got really emotional. She was concerned about a test that she took, whether she had passed it or failed it, and she began to go down that rabbit hole of worry. And I'm like, well, let's pause it. Let's see. Have you eaten today? No, I haven't. Right. And so we'll get something to eat, get something to drink, maybe go take a bath. Go listen to music, go take a run, do something to change that emotion. It will pass. Get that worry, and let's keep positive. You passed, you did
That's
it. We're
right.
speaking that way over that. That's what we have to
Perfect.
speak.
Yeah, well,
What if? No,
that's
it's
right.
happening. It's here. It's now. I see it,
That's right.
and sure enough, she ended up passing. And I'm like, see, now if you would have spent the rest of that evening, that was wasted energy right there on worrying about something.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. So as we teach people this, I think it's really gonna help people get a grasp on not focusing on the negative, because like we're saying, if you can turn off the news,
Mm,
that's a good idea too. Um, get your weather report and what's going on, but to focus on the way that they are getting people fearful and dividing people right now, it's a real mistake. So what I like to do is, like I said, don't watch it. Find out what you need to do for whatever it is, your business or, you know, but the
right.
bare minimum, because
Yeah.
they just are stoking the flames right now, and there's no reason. We all just need to, like we said, take 3 deep breaths
Mhm.
and then
Mhm.
focus on sending healing, forgiveness, prayers for all of humanity. And like I said, if we send those healing things to all of humanity, even the people that we don't like are going to get it by default.
Sure. Sure.
If you can't rise above it, it's a simple way to do it. And I just hope people start to do a little bit more of that. Realize that they can use their Reiki for some practical
Right.
applications,
Sure.
instead of just focusing on, clients or themselves.
Yeah.
Let's focus
Yeah.
on everybody as well.
Yeah. And find
So
what works
basically,
for you.
that's what exactly. Find out what works for you. So is last words, closing words for today. I want to keep this one just at a half an hour because supposedly people are listen to them a little bit more when they end at half an hour. So we'll see.
Sure.
Like I
Sure.
said, this is the first time I've done this. I hopefully this works out um, because I don't know
It's
what I'm doing.
working out. It's working
Okay,
out.
good. Oh
It's
yes, yes,
working
that's true.
out.
That's true.
It's
Getting
happening.
figuring out the streaming software is different for me, right? Like I'm not used to doing this, but we're gonna keep at it. So final words. What do you have to say, and where can people find you if they are so inclined?
I say just try your best to stay positive through situations. We're going to have challenges, we're going to have setbacks, we might even have disasters, but try to find
That's right.
the silver lining within there. Even I lost my sister. Where's the silver lining here? I can continue to do the good and love and light that she shared while she was alive, and I can carry that on, her service, kind of live her dreams, out for her and finish things for her. So try to find that silver lining. That's going to help you get through this. Bring that humor in, use that sarcasm. It's great. It's great. Everything. Yeah. Car didn't start.
That's
Water
right.
heater
Yeah.
broke. Okay. It's great. So yeah,
Yeah. Send it some Reiki.
send it to me, whatever you use, and find
Yeah.
your just right. I call it the Goldilocks. Find your just right. Maybe Reiki's not for you. Maybe yoga's not for you. Maybe light language is not for you. But find what works. And the thing that's great about the
That's right.
breathing that you
There's a lot of
mentioned,
people. It's just yeah,
it's not, and
yeah. For
you're
some
gonna
people,
have
it's
that
just practical prayer.
misconception. You have that, like my mother, she was raised, her Bible based, and for her, this is not her thing. But for her, breath would work because we all have to breathe, right? How can
That's
you
right. Yeah,
have
that's
any
an easy
negative
one.
thing about breath, right? You can't slam it.
Yep.
You need it as
That's
the
right.
beginning and as the end. So find what works for you. And if it doesn't work, move on. Maybe it did a little bit of healing so it can propel you to that next modality that you're meant for or that works for you. So, yeah, find something to kind of get us through these little challenging times, whether it's prayer, meditation, breath, yoga, uh, you know, find something. We need it. We need that little life vest
Yes, we do.
to kind of get us through this. So, yeah. So you can find me. Feather Sister is my business. Ready Set Reiki, where I have the podcast, and I have a business in El Paso here called Beep Beep, the Yoga Jeep, the
I
yoga
love
that
that.
comes to you.
It's cute. Perfect. Okay, so but if people want to get an online session with you, they can.
They can go to
go to
www.readysetreiki.com, and then all the
okay, perfect.
information's there. On you can find me. I do everything from different styles of yoga. I have 10 different systems of Reiki I study with. I do laughter yoga, kids yoga, sound
There you
bowls.
go. You know what I was talking about. Yeah. 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 And for me, I do spiritual coaching. I do Reiki sessions virtually all over the world. So if you need somebody to talk you off the ledge,
There you
point you in
go.
the right direction, or if you want to learn how to do Reiki and energy healing, check out my website at reverend.drtracycox.com. And thanks so much, Tracy. Thanks for being on the show today. I think
Thank
that we
you.
did very well this
You
morning.
too. I think you look great.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to go on an outro, and I want to thank the Parapost Network for getting me to start doing this. Okay, so thanks. Have a great day. I'm going to go on an outro, and God bless you and Reiki blessings. Have a great one. Bye bye.